All right. Good morning, guys. Quick sound check. Let me know if you can hear me. How we doing this morning? It is a Tuesday, February 10th, 9:23 in the morning. Good morning, Vietnam. One of the greatest movies of all time, actually. Oh, it's going pretty good. I actually woke up super early today compared to normal. So I'm not mad about that. I was messing around on my Instagram story. I put like the Three Doors Down theme song music to the story I just posted. I thought it was hilarious, personally. I don't know if anybody else will find my humor in it, but I did, and that's all that matters. So, all right. Oops, didn't mean to do that one. Why is gold moving now? All right. Double check one more thing real quick, and then we'll get started. Yeah, all that was 8:30. I just wanted to double check the calendar, make sure everything we had from a news perspective, all that stuff was 8:30 this morning. I just wanted to double check that. So we've got a kind of a weird little situation going on here. Nasdaq now, 2 days up off those lows that kind of came out that overnight session, and so we're currently printing 396s here. If we look across the board, S&Ps are up 0.1%, Nasdaq up 0.17, Russell up 0.05, and the Dow up 0.11. So everything's pretty much even, if you will. Nasdaq, you could argue, is maybe just a touch stronger here than everything else from a pure percentage change standpoint. So I mentioned it. I dropped the free nightly video last night. So if you're not in the Discord, then that's where that got dropped. And essentially, I'm talking about the cautiously bullish bias that I have, meaning that yes, I'm okay with playing longs today, and we try and continue this push to the upside. But at the same time, like, I'm also going to be fully aware and understand that the potential for us to just fail from here, or not really go anywhere today, is also a little bit higher than I would say it was yesterday, right? So we've now got that additional day to the upside there, out of the NASDAQ. We've got this weird little kind of level in place here for the S&Ps, 83.75s. We've got a weird little level in place here for NASDAQ 342s. We don't have that in place, unfortunately, here for the Russell, the same type of level. But we do have 2701s in place. I would personally love to see Russell go sideways today. In a picture perfect world, we see Russell kind of pop up here, similar to what it's done in the overnight session. Pop up the 2703s here, whatever. Trade that 2701, and then just kind of chill. Like, if we could have a 10 or 15 point range day, I think that would be absolutely insane. It would be great for the charts at the same time. But on the other hand, we do have a potential move here in the Dow up over 52.49. So we're currently printing just a little bit above that at the moment. I am, for my first trade idea, if you will, for today, I am interested in longs. If we can open above that level, pull back test, the whole thing, um, and then look to hold that and see where we really want to go. If we're going to get the breakout today, um, then that should hold, initially on that first test, and then try and go from there. So I'm open to that first initial idea. Um, in the S&Ps, I'm also kind of open to it off of 69.83s, just purely based on the 70.40s up here. Um, but we're only at 155,000 contracts traded so far in the pre-market session. So with like a minute and 40 left to go, it's kind of leaning me a little bit more towards the potential for kind of that range type of day, which I think we see maybe more so in the Russell than anywhere else. So I say that to say I'm not going to get super heavy, whether that be with Dow and S&Ps, Dow, NASDAQ, whatever the case is, in terms of risk. So can I put, a quarter of a position on here and 3/4 of a position on here, or a third and 2/3, a half, whatever? Yes, but I don't want to get too overly weighted, if that's the right way to phrase it, in risk size, not necessarily just between the indices themselves, right? Um, and the more I kind of thought about that last night, I think that might be part of the way to go this week, is just when the trades present themselves, is we take a little bit of risk here and a little bit of risk here in terms of, NASDAQ, Dow, NASDAQ, Russell, whatever the case is. Because I do think that index selection is going to be super important. So anyway, that's my plan at the moment. I still have NVIDIA on watch. Microsoft's getting a big gap to the upside here. Google's getting some movement to the downside. I'm not really a fan of a bunch of the individual names here at the moment, so we're going to keep it with that and let that rock. But we got about 3 seconds to go here. And just make sure we're queued up, ready to go. And hopefully the Dow doesn't just run away from us on the day and we're not able to do anything with it. Kind of like what it's currently trying to do. We're about 100 points over that level at the moment. Russell's popping up into that 2701. Such a tough. AMD pushed up through yesterday's highs there. If AMD options weren't so expensive, I probably would have had some yesterday. Crazy move out of the Dow to start the day. Absolutely nothing to work with in there, unfortunately. We're now about 200 points off that level. This was the move in which I really wanted. See if we come back and test that at the open, which we just did not, unfortunately, do. Nothing like a good 178.2 minute bar to start the day in the Dow there. Notice though, the Dow is really the only one making this move. So we've got Russell right up into that 2701s. NASDAQ's essentially red from the open here initially. And S&P is just kind of hanging right around 69.90s. It's going to lead me more into that thought that we had from yesterday, but we'll see here. Dow 428. I do have Tesla. I I can't long this year. It's essentially 4 days up at this point now where we're currently sitting at. Um, but we're right here into this 423.21. I would prefer that kind of reject and not really try and go through today. That would be best case scenario, I think, for us. Everything that got the first initial move here, like AMD, Nvidia, Microsoft, they're all fading back just a little bit here now. Tesla pushed through that 423.91. Russell's coming back up here. 2701s. There's room to what? 2745s. I'm going to try a small little bit of Russell here. Essentially stops kind of down at 98s, so it's about 3 points. I think that we probably need maybe NASDAQ or S&Ps to make new lows or something first. So I'm not necessarily waiting on the trigger in here, so we're a little bit smaller on size. But if we are going to hold the way that 5-minute bar kind of set, and this bar pulls back, leaves a bottoming tail, and we can rally, then I honestly don't mind the position. And Tesla's pushing up through that 423.21s. Again, I can't do anything with that today, given how many days it's up at this point, which is kind of unfortunate. The only way to play it would be some lottos pushed out, but I mean the target's 439.82s essentially today is where that would look to go. The 440s for tomorrow are like 85 cents here, give or take. It's probably not a bad trade. Probably not a bad trade at all. All right, Nasdaq's pushing that 342 here. This was the pullback that we were kind of anticipating, expecting at some point here with the way the Russell was moving. S&Ps are sitting on that 69, 83, 75s. We traded 84s, so one tick shy. I'm not anticipating the front run. I think we go higher. It's just a matter of whether the S&P and Nasdaq can make the move or not. I just thought that they would need the test of these lower levels first. And again, we very well could fail, right? I mean, we I've talked about this already. I don't know if Russell holds here, but we did make an initial attempt to try and make that move. This would essentially be 98s right there. We traded 98 10s. Tesla is back under that level, so a good hold off on that at the moment. Traded 97.80s there. All right, we're flat to Russell. Yeah, we had like 5 points in it at one point. I might have just got tripped up at the lows there, which would be super unfortunate. I like the I like the way S&Ps are trying to hold this 83.75s at the moment. At least initially we are. I wouldn't blame you for trying to have a little S&P long, but I don't think it's technically like triggered or ready yet. We could get this to kind of form a bit. It'd still be a little bit larger than I would like to see. NASDAQ just made new lows. We probably should have just bought pullbacks in the Dow. NASDAQ's making new lows and Dow is pressing towards high a day. It's a complete 180 from the type of action we saw pretty much all of 2025. Dow new highs here now. Rotation into value stocks. I guess you could say that. It was just beat down for so long. NASDAQ was just the workhorse for a while. I mean, if we fail that just now, that little new high spike in the Dow, then it's kind of an ugly looking situation on the day. We got Tesla trying to fail off of 423.21s there. Yikes. Again, I think that unless we hold right here, then I think that scenario of a potential smaller range bound type of day or the reversal, I think is in play. And the bigger piece to that is if we fail in a big way on the Dow, we could come back down to 249s and hold. But if we fail in there in like a bigger way, then I would expect, see S&Ps, NASDAQ, and everything kind of erase that move from yesterday. At the moment, we're not quite there yet, but I do think we're trying to create this scenario of either a consolidation type of day, a little bit of rest, or we get absolutely smoked to the downside. And that's the part I want to avoid. I'm not really trying to be long anything and then we get absolutely smoked. Russell had every attempt to hold where it did and it couldn't. S&Ps had an attempt to hold at 83.75s, couldn't do it. NASDAQ gave no shits about 342.50s when it came through. So we're going to have to get a little bit more data on here, kind of see how this unfolds, but I hate to try and fight that Dow too at the same time. Let's see. Tesla. The Dow is trying to rally back again. Russell just made new overnight lows. I think we probably try and press a little bit back up from here. I'm debating Tesla. I've been just stalking the way this is trading right around 423.21s. We're 4 days up. It's a terrible spot to try longs from. But risk reward wise is pretty freaking nice. If we pull up the chart here on Tesla, we could look at, let's call it entries like 424s. $424, stop loss be 421. Take profit is 440 basically. Something like that. So it's not bad risk reward wise. Gold took a hard hit there. Dow making new highs here. I'm going to try a tiny piece of Russell again, see if we can't grab this divergence right off of lows. Again, it's about a 3-point stop again. We're not full size in this. It's 2 R's basically back up to at least opening print, and then even more through that, obviously. Again, today is a prime example of that index selection. Like the Dow was the one. Entry is just super tough in there, I think. We never got the 249 pullback. We've just continued to push here. NASDAQ new lows there, only market so far. Tesla never got over that 424s. Starting to come back off now. I think it's a good hold. Like a good stay away. There you go, Russell. NASDAQ with a nice reversal bar off those new lows. And again, index selection is super important. Russell, not quite the same reaction as NASDAQ's seen so far. Maybe it'll like catch up, play a little pickup on that, but at the moment hasn't quite done so. S&P is trying to hold this 83.75s. We just did pull back and tick right back down to it. Dow's a freaking runaway. It's crazy. There you go, Russell. Come on, Russell. You can do it. S&P's traded up to 88s there. NASDAQ traded 330, so a little front run of that 342s. Again, the Dow does not seem to care. The Dow's just chucking along. If we can push up through opening print, I don't necessarily have a like a definitive, like I want to take profits here kind of thing with the Russell. I'm open to trying to be a little bit more fluid with this and see if we can't, if we snag the bottom here, if we do get back up through like highs or something. I'm on the I'm on the fence about that because I do partially think it could be a little bit of a consolidation type day. Um, but I would kind of kick myself a little bit if we were to just absolutely rip. So I'm just kind of like letting that dictate and see how we ultimately want to move there. The S&Ps here though probably would have been a better long. Russell's right back down at the entries here, which is unfortunate. Um, Nasdaq at 342. See if we can't push through that. And Dow still the one. I know I'm gonna sound like a broken record for how many times I'm gonna say this, but it is true and true this week is that index selection is going to be so damn important that it's honestly ridiculous. And I kind of hate that for me at the moment with the Russell. It's like, why you do that? Just why? I don't understand. I mean, I do understand, but I don't. S&P is pushing towards new highs on the day. Looks like this first initial move was 69.96 quarters. We're printing 93 quarters now. Kind of look like we want to continue to push up through that, honestly. Overnight highs look to be at 97.50s. We might as well go take those out. Do we buy pullbacks in NASDAQ to 342s? Well, I take that back. We should have bought pullbacks. Anybody long the Russell with me? Or long anything in general, I guess. The entries down there would have been valid whether it was S&Ps, NASDAQ, Russell, Dow. Doesn't make a difference. We did pop those little 97.50 overnight highs there for S&Ps. We still got a little bit more room to go. 410s for the NASDAQ. You got this 2-minute buy just now. Yeah, a little potential higher low here. I don't mind that. It's a little bit less of a stop if you're not giving it all the way to the lows. Still about 4 points, give or take. It's a crazy move. And the Dow just straight up. Yeah, I'm looking for the same thing here. I'm looking for the same thing. Nasdaq still didn't quite get those new highs just yet. Russell traded at 27.01 again now to the tick. It's not bad. We got about 8 points in the Russell here. Not bad, not bad. Nasdaq still didn't get those new highs. The smart move is to probably take this off. We just traded at 27.01s there again as well. It's probably the smart move here. Is to try and lock some in, but I want to give it the room. I could kick myself for that one later, but we already kind of talked about that. Yeah, Netflix did the thing today. Russell. Pain in my... Disappointed in you, Russell. That's a hard 7-point pullback in the Russell, considering everything else is just kind of chilling. I'm watching NASDAQ though. Well, initially we were looking maybe if we got back above 342s, we could buy longs on a pullback in there. I'm kind of watching opening print in here now is 376s, see if it wants to actually do anything or not. But somehow Microsoft is absolutely ripping. Keeps catching my eye over there. Took RTY off open. Probably not a bad move. Hindsight being 2020 at the moment, I probably would have liked to have done the same. You're right about the index selection. We picked the abuser. Yeah, we did, unfortunately. A YOLO on coin shorts. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I see that. I feel like I see that. Yeah, you're thinking 164.99 holds and rolls us. Yeah, I see that. Let me see something here real quick. Generate a levels list for coin. Yeah, there's nothing until like 117 apparently. Which kind of makes sense. Is that weekly little failure to go lower back down there, the shimmy, like a long time ago. All right, we'll play a little Bitcoin short. There's NASDAQ popping through those highs. Never pulled back to opening print because it, why would it? NASDAQ's on a tear. Hey, let's go, Russell. Let's go, Russell. You can do it. You can do it all night long. What was that? Just a random little spike there. All right, I'm gonna look to bring trails on the Russell up. I think we can lock it in at 95 pretty conservatively. 26.95s. I'm just gonna go ahead and put hard stops in there for now at 26.95s. We obviously don't have to let it come all the way back there if we don't want, if there's a reason to exit. Or something else happens up here, which maybe is the case right here. We're at 27.01s. We just saw whatever that spike was. Very easily could see that erased. S&P is making new highs, NASDAQ new highs, Russell and Dow not at the moment. So that part's a little unfortunate, but I do want to just put a protective trail in there at this point. That locks us in about an R, give or take. And, we're up about 9 points or so at the moment. So we got about 3 R's in this. I want to, like I said, I want to see if this can actually kind of do the thing. Like in a picture perfect world, if today is not going to be the sideways consolidation type of day that we initially talked about in the Russell specifically, and it doesn't seem to appear that NASDAQ wants to absolutely fail and get ripped to the downside, then I kind of just perfect world Russell does its thing today and we don't have to touch it and it can rip to 2745s. I don't know if that happens. It's probably more likely that I pick the wrong index on the day and S&Ps go to 7040s, but I will at least give it the old college try, even though I didn't go to college. So Osborne is having a day on his Amazon position there. It probably was a good time for some relative strength longs down there as well. I didn't see it. Maybe Microsoft, you could make the argument, but that new low in the NASDAQ with the divergence down there was really nice earlier. It was Russell and NASDAQ that got the new low on that bar into 945. S&Ps and Dow. Dow obviously was holding. S&Ps held as well. And then we just straight up ripped from there. About 150 points higher now at the moment in NASDAQ. Total range on the day is 191 points. Pretty decent move. How are we doing though? What are we thinking? 10, 11. Damn, Tesla's going to try it today. All right, trail out of the Russell there. I kind of want to say the range is in for the day. I don't know if I'm right on that or not yet. Dang it. That's a hard reversal out of NASDAQ there. S&P's pulled back, holding the open so far though. NASDAQ kind of same thing. I don't know if I really want to press my luck today. We're slightly green again somehow. S&Ps have had like a 30-ish point range on the actually 30 points exactly. Damn, I'm good. NASDAQ's had, a 200-ish point range on the day. The Dow was the one that obviously had good early morning strength. And that's pulled back about 150 points off highs. So if we lose that, I think that's a problem. And the fact that NASDAQ just had a 2-minute 77.5 point bar straight back down to the downside, like with legitimately no warning after that big pump there. Complete reversal of that move. That was the one we were talking about, like, hey, probably should take some profits here. We're back up into 2701s. I'm going to try and let it do its thing. Obviously, that didn't work. But when we see something like that, it's like, all right, cool. Market is, at least in my opinion, I think now established the range on the day, and we're probably just going to stay inside this. Maybe we poke above it. Maybe we poke beneath it one more time, depending on if the Dow loses itself or not. But yeah, I think that's honestly probably going to be the thing here. If we do claw this back, maybe market's stronger than I think it is on the day, and we can try and make a run at it again. But I don't know that I love that idea either. But the one thing I do know for certain is that the market's either going to go up or it's going to go down. And that's that. So, yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, they're very well. There could be some nice shorts later on, especially again if the Dow gives it up, then yes. At the moment, I'm kind of watching this last little 5-minute bar, and it's like, all right, Russell made new lows on this current 5-minute bar. S&Ps haven't yet. Nasdaq hasn't yet. They're both holding at opening print. Dow didn't make that break through that prior bar's low just yet either. So if we are going to hold, it's essentially probably going to be from like right here and try and work our way back up. I'm getting reports of a little, maybe, was Trade Evade having some issues there on that move? I'm seeing a little chatter maybe of some issues. Anybody else seeing something similar? Notice that like little small detail. Like we were legitimately just talking about this, right? Like I mean, it's so minute. The information, right, is like, I'll pull this up and I'll do it on this chart. There we go. All right, so this is the thing in which I was just talking about is notice how this 5-minute bar, the one that we, hello? The one that we just closed out and now we're kind of pushing above here. Notice how on this bar, we came down and we broke through that prior bar's low, right? Like it's very little. Like the low here was 91.90s. The low here was 91.70. So we broke it by 2 ticks. And we're now pushing back up to, 99s, which is opening print here. Disregard that information, doesn't matter. This is the thing in which I want to focus on, right? Is that happened in the Russell, in the S&Ps. Here we go. Maybe. In the S&Ps, we didn't have that though, right? Like it managed to actually hold, this is that same bar, right? It managed to hold what would be these lows from that pullback there to 87 quarters. It managed to hold that at 69.90s. So we've got the Russell breaking through. Yes, it's a very small 5-minute little low. Is it important? Yes. NASDAQ here, same thing, right? It held by just a couple of points here. The low on, holy, are you guys seeing that too? Because that's tripping me out. The low of this move is 362.50. Is the low on this one is 357.75. So like 5 points, give or take, right? That the NASDAQ didn't break that low. And then same thing here in the Dow. Let's see if Dow does it too. There we go. You son of a bitch. The low here on this being 54.43s and this low being 54.35s, right? So we managed to hold this initial pullback low in all of the indices except for the Russell. The Russell was the one that just kind of popped that low just a little bit there. And then that's where I kind of mentioned that, and I was like, yeah, if we're gonna hold and try and claw this thing back, it's essentially with that little piece of information, right? And couple that with the S&P sitting on opening print, NASDAQ sitting on opening print, those things, right? If we're going to claw it back, I said it would be from there, right? So we've now gotten, 100-point pop out of that. In the Dow, we've got, 50 couple point pop here so far in NASDAQ. I don't know, 10, 12-point pop so far in the S&Ps. And now the Russell is actually trying to push up through that 27.01 and maybe finally start making that move on the day for itself. So just that little piece of information, that little detail, um, is important there. I'm not really too upset that I took the Russell off, but I will be if it doesn't give us another entry, if it wants to break through this 2701 and move. Does that make sense though, what I was showing? Okay, sweet. You can rewind. Even though it's live, you can still use the little like time scroller thing. You can go back in time, actually. That's crazy. Hmm. All right. Tesla is dying to go higher. Tesla wants to make that move. I think you could probably try a Russell again if you really wanted to see if we're actually going to break up through 2701s here or not. Either that or you could try Dow. Stops under 68. It's about 30 points. That's probably actually not bad. That's not bad. It's like 3-1 back to highs. Not terrible. Tesla is trying. Did it manage to do it? 423.34s. Oh man. Oh man. I think we can long Tesla. The 435 calls are like $1.15 right now. Damn, Russell making the move. Those options would expire tomorrow in Tesla 435s. They're like $1.12. Anybody pick up longs in Tesla? S&P's made new highs there. So did Russell. Nothing else did though. So let's see. What are the? It's not really worth that. I say the Tesla 442s for tomorrow, 27 cents. The 440s are 43 cents. How do we want to play it? Yeah, we do have some earnings coming up tomorrow. I'm going to grab a couple 440s, 442s for tomorrow. I want to do a day trade on these 435s. I don't really want to size them for zero, but they kind of have to be. So I think I'm just going to go with 440s and 442 halves for tomorrow. Ideally, if we don't make the move today into 439s, then we could gap there tomorrow. And I think that's the way to play it. Gold just took a dump. Yeah, we did get another divergence. We did get another divergence. S&P's Russell popped up, got new highs. Nothing else did. I'm gonna go tiny on these Tesla positions at the moment. I want some exposure there, just the way in which that's acting. I don't love the daily. It's tough to continue to buy this thing 4 days up, but it is relentless in trying to break up through and hold this 423.21s. We could fail right here, but it has been an absolute just powerhouse this morning and over the last couple of days. So I kind of like the idea of doing so. And again, we essentially potentially tomorrow kind of take this weekly back over. So yeah, I kind of like that. I mean, Yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then we'll let it work. See what it wants to do. Russell here might actually want to continue to push. Markets are just stuck. Let me see what the what's the risk in this? What's the high? 425.48. All right, we got that on. Kind of happy with that. My ideal situation, these 442 halves in Tesla, just to kind of talk through this. The ideal situation, again, if we were to get the gap tomorrow right up into that 439 area, I think these 442s go from about 30 cents right here, 26, 27 cents, to probably like $4 to $5 at the open, like $4 on a low end, most likely. If we were to gap to 439.82s. Now, if we gap over that, then obviously that's a different situation. But I think if we can at least gap to the level, I think we do well. So, anyways, that's my thinking there. The rest of the charts, indices, all that stuff at the moment, not like my favorite thing ever, but anybody have any questions? Ticker symbols you want me to take a look at? Anything like that? Silver? What you want to know? No trades out of you so far, Christian? You're being conservative over there. You wanted that Dow probably. I don't know. I kind of think silver probably tries to go higher again yet. I think it probably tries to get that 91, but if we lose like 79.90s, which is we're kind of coming down into now, then I think we're in for some trouble. Look at the Russell. Look at that baby go. What punk. What an absolute just. Yeah, RTY doing what it does. RTY came right back down though. Yeah, I think Tesla gaps to that 439 area. That's my thinking. Oh, the art? Should we do a reel? Still real. I muted the mic while I was recording a reel. I was just making sure you were still listening, Shadow. That was it. Just woke up. Oh. Is Russell gonna try and make the move again? Again, I kind of think the range is in, but and at this point, to be honest, the main reason in which I'm sitting here is Tesla. All right, Tesla. NFP tomorrow, you're saying? We are ranging hard. I'm gonna give this another couple of minutes. Obviously, I put my risk on in Tesla there. We'll see what that wants to do. Otherwise, I'm not really too bothered by doing anything else here. There's a hard bar down for Tesla. We did that same thing again just now in the Dow. Dow didn't make those new lows on that bar. So we probably rip back up from here again. Yeah, we're certainly consolidating. I mean, again, Dow made a massive move this morning, though. Like 300 points pretty much straight up. Nice little recovery there for Tesla, 425.05s now. We're about to break those highs. 425.48s. Shadow's bullish. You know what that means, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, my only fear with news at the moment is that it just ends up sending us higher in pre-market, and there's nothing we can do about it. I don't really know if I should say that's a fear, but yeah, I can see a new high potentially at some point today too. I don't know. Again, I'm kind of more in the more along the lines of the range is in, and it just now is kind of going to be what it is. But you can make a valid argument for a long in here. It stops under 2700.8s for Russell. See if we can't push back up to those highs, like 2.5-ish points, give or take. But I don't really know that it's worth. I don't really know that it's worth doing. Damn, Alex G apparently he got banned from attending NFL games forever. I don't know if that's official or not, but if it is, that's kind of unfortunate. uh, how would they know, I guess, is the question. All right. Ponzi ball games. What isn't a Ponzi? That's the question. That is the $64,000 question. That's also possibly true. I wouldn't necessarily argue that, I guess. Damn, Tesla came off hard. I'm glad I didn't pick up those 435s now. I didn't want to give those the full stop, which again, I assumed they would need it at some point. So I'm glad I didn't add those in. They're getting cheaper, but also the trade's not as valid at the moment. NASDAQ is back over the open. I'm kind of bored. Yeah, I'm gonna get ready to wrap it up here in a couple minutes. I just kind of want to see what Russell Nasdaq do right here around opening print for Nasdaq in this 2701 again. I don't know that I'll necessarily do anything, but I think the better. I think if we reject from here, then obviously we've got a lot of room. We can go lower, and we're starting to lose the Dow, which I think is the big piece there. But Nasdaq is like trying like hell to hold on here to this opening print. And same thing with Russell off 2701s. Again, I don't know whether it's really worth trying to do something again here. Probably not, to be honest. But Nasdaq is trying to hold that opening print like with a vengeance here. I kind of want to try it off of 76s right here, but I would only use micros. It doesn't make sense to go full size on this, and it would be a scalp up to like 25 400s or so. So it doesn't really make sense either way, so I'm not going to do it. But I do think it tries to hold here for a moment and get a bounce. The Russell, on the other hand, doesn't actually look terrible. It looks better than most of, well, essentially all of the other indices, actually, for that matter. I want to see if Tesla's going to manage to hold this and rally back. Sir, you just woke up. is that? What is that? You know, look down for a minute. Market loses its mind. S&P's retested those 83.75s like legitimately to the tick there. We're just stuck between this 342s and the opening print here. Something fierce. Same thing in S&Ps. We did just come off that level though, which is pretty nice. Russell making new highs so far only market. I don't trust this to go to try and even attempt for. It makes sense. We came up, we popped these highs. It's the only market to do so. Dow's kind of weak. I wouldn't say that you could short the Russell from here, but if markets failed, you could probably short the Russell. Again, not specifically at this moment, but if the rest of the markets, especially the Dow, decide to fail, then I think we could probably play lower. I wouldn't choose the Russell to do that. I'm just saying from this divergence, Russell's the only one making new highs. If you were aggressive and wanted to try and short that off 27.08s, assuming that it fails and we pull back, then it's probably there. I, however, have my hands sitting firmly in my lap, not pressing any buttons, and I'm not going to do anything else. So, I got my little bit of risk on here in Tesla, which at the moment is certainly struggling from that pullback off 425s. Never got the breakout. NASDAQ stuck between that 342s and opening print. Basically same thing here in S&Ps. We're stuck between 83.75s and opening print. Unfortunately, I think we caught probably like what would have been the best move of the day. We just kind of got tripped out a little bit early on the Russell earlier, back under 95s, before it ended up making the move. We did everything we could have done the right way, I think, from a risk management standpoint, from all the things. So I'm not necessarily upset by that, and we're green on the day, so I'll take it. Again, it's not it's not a day you're gonna write home about, but at the same time, we also at the same time, we also didn't get hurt in this, which I would venture to say is probably going to be a reality for a lot of people today. Just given the way this is trading. So I kind of thought we'd see the consolidation like under this 27.01 for the Russell. If you think back to like what we talked about this morning and kind of the way in which I thought that would ultimately unfold, I think the Dow getting ahead of itself and not trading that 249s was probably a bad thing here, and that's ultimately where we're probably headed to at this point. It's only 100-ish points away. Would kind of make sense. These little random pops and spikes and stuff like what we just saw in the Russell and everything. I mean, they're getting us to like plus 500 ticks, and then that's pretty much it. So I don't think there's any sustainable buying pressure to that. Um, so yeah, that's what I got. Well, what do I think about gold trying to hold these 37s? Let me see. I actually didn't even plot new levels for gold from last night. I've just been keeping it on watch. $50 37s. It's trying. I don't know that I would necessarily try any longs from here and there. Yeah, I don't think I'd try any longs. I don't know. The weekly says yes, but the idea of a failure on that weekly would be downright ugly. So look at this S&P's Nasdaq completely reversing the bars now. Yeah, people are getting hurt today. People getting in trouble for sure. Let's see something here. Now we're trying to rally that back some. Let's see. Oh shoot, wrong button. Oh, let me see. Grab this link, right? Yeah, sweet. I'll drop this link in the chat. If anybody's not in the free Discord, go ahead and click that link. It'll get you in the Discord for free. Dow almost got new lows, kind of coming back up now. I don't know. I'm not gonna mess with this. Let that be. I will say, if you are wanting to trade gold and silver though through a prop firm, to my knowledge at the moment, the only two that are allowing that are Tradeify and Lucid. At the moment, those are the only two I know of. And Lucid actually, I think, appears to be, I think their website's down at the moment. Oh, TP2 too, probably, yeah. There you go. Take Profit Trader, code MLT. Lucid's actually, their website's down at the moment. Let's see if there's something. Why is that not letting? I got in safe. You can only trade the SL mini, not the micro. For some reason, that contract is a beast. It's a different. I think it's a different ticker. If I remember right, I think it's like a. Micro silver contracts. I think it's like QI or something. Micro gold, micro crude. Yeah, I don't actually see it. I have their permitted products. Yeah, micro silver is SIL. Yeah, I don't see that on the list. But micro gold futures is on the list. So I don't know why that doesn't. So /QI. is, yeah, let's do the COMEX. So it's probably the physical. Well, I guess all silver and gold would be through COMEX. I don't know. Maybe they don't have it. Yeah, they might not have the micro for some reason. You can certainly trade the micro gold. I see that on their list. And you can trade full size gold for sure, because that is also on the list. Mm, yeah. Huh. I don't know why that is. All right, 1132. Yeah, you would think it would be the reverse. I mean, I don't know. At the moment, I certainly wouldn't be trading full size silver contracts. I will say that though. The ranges, the moves, they've been rather large. So probably I don't know. I hate to say that. I was gonna say it's probably a good thing that some firms took it away, but at the same time, like you also should allow people to trade kind of what they want at the same time. Like, are some people gonna get absolutely just downright lucky with an entry on silver that they manage to hold on to and get deer in the headlights look and have no idea what to do with the position, and then before they know it, it's up, 10 or 15 grand? Probably. Like, I mean, it's certainly possible, and it probably happened. All right, 1134. I'm actually gonna roll out now, and yeah, I don't see anything else for me to do here. We'll let this figure itself out. Double check, make sure there's no open orders nowhere. We got a little bit of Tesla risk on. We're flat on futures. And we got some earnings names coming up too after the bell. Check that earnings calendar in Discord. Hood, Lyft, Ford, Upstart, Gilead, Net. Cloudflare should actually be interesting. They've had a couple of outages recently. I don't think it's necessarily related to like any of the Trade of Eight outages and stuff like that. I could be wrong, but um, yeah, they're at a they're at kind of a pivotal spot here from a chart perspective. Yeah. NASDAQ holding on to this 342 halves pretty well. S&P's that 83.75 as well, holding in there. But yeah, I'm not going to do anything with this. Back-to-back green days, small, not catching big winners here, unfortunately, but managed to at least stay out of the chop and the slop and everything like that from today. So I am more than okay with that being the case. If Tesla ends up being a loser, also more than okay with that. And ideally, Russell kind of pulls back here and we close down towards lows potentially across the board. I think that would probably be our better bet into tomorrow. Just kind of across the board. But yeah, I'll get a free nightly video done again tonight. That at the moment, those are in the nightly video section there inside of the Discord. You guys can click on those and kind of see what that is. Yeah, but that's where there's going to get posted and hosted and kind of all that fun stuff. So anyways, appreciate you guys. I am going to go have some steak and I am going to lift some weights and do anything other than honestly sit here and watch NASDAQ battle around 342 halves and the Russell and Dow decide whether they want to rally back up to highs or not, because that's kind of what they look like. So before I get tempted to do anything else, I am shutting her down and we will be back tomorrow. I think Shadow mentioned we got news coming up in the morning, so that should be interesting. Hopefully we can get a little bit of volatility off of that and see where that takes us. So anyways, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, all of those things, feel free to reach out. Give me a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe, whatever those things are here on YouTube if you have not done so already. There's actually like this really cool little graphic thing that pops up. Sometimes it's a little duck like swimming around or whatever. When you subscribe to the channel, it's kind of cool. Also kind of geeky, but I'm okay with it. So I think we've only seen it like a couple of times since I put it in place, which is kind of sad. But anyways, that's what I got. I'm going to roll and I'll check back in with you guys. If I don't see you tomorrow, then have a great day. But hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.